Good evening, everybody, and happy Purim. If we can go ahead and take our seats, please. We're going to get started. We are your Beatles for this evening, otherwise known as the Fools on the Hill. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight, but I want to go over real quickly a couple of ground rules, so to speak. We're doing our spiel a little bit differently this year. We've got some music involved in our spiel, and so we're going to ask that you hopefully have picked up a copy of our lyrics so you can sing along if you are so inclined, and we are going to ask that you keep your groggers silent, if at all possible, during the singing. Even if you hear certain names mentioned during the singing, there will be plenty of time to use your groggers during the talking, but during the singing, we would ask that you try and silence your groggers. We all know who we're going to use our groggers for. We'll mention him in a few seconds to get some practice. But we also, when we hear the names of certain other important characters in the Megillah, are going to make some special sounds for them. So we may occasionally hear talk about the king. The king's name is Ahasuerus or Ahasuerus. And when we hear Ahasuerus' name, we are going to pretend like we are a trumpet playing for Ahasuerus, and we're going to go do-do-do. So let's practice that. Hold on, let's practice. Ahasuerus. All right, very nice. And, of course, we have the lovely Esther. And whenever we hear Esther's name, we're going to ooh and ah for Esther. Ooh. All right, so let's practice that. Esther. All right. When we hear the name of our brave hero Mordechai, we are going to say hip hip hooray. Hip hip hooray. All right, Mordechai. Hip hip hooray. And last but certainly not least, every good story has a good villain. And so when you hear the name of this villain, you are going to make as much noise as you can. And the name of this villain is Harrison Ford. No, is Haman. All right. But the important thing about using our groggers is that we have to know when it's time to move on with our story. So once we've made some noise, one or more of us will signal that it's time to cut off, and we have to be ready to go on. So let's try the cutting off also. Haman! Oh, pretty good. All right. I think that we are almost ready. We have some wonderful volunteers who are going to be helping out later this evening at our Purim Carnival. And I will ask that you kind of watch the time. I will try and remind you also. But if you are on the first shift, then around 5:45, please head on down to the Jaffe room so you can get set up for your shift. So, on the first page of our handouts, we have our Purim blessings. It is a mitzvah to hear the Megillah read, and so we are going to hear the Megillah red, and the Megillah purple, and the Megillah blue, and we are going to say the blessings that precede the reading of the Megillah. Please join with me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mikra Megillah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim lavotenu bayamim hahem bazman hazeh. And lastly, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiyimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. All right. So we have our beautiful Megillah, and it begins. Vayehi b'mei Achashverosh, hu Achashverosh hamolech mehodu ve'ad kush sheva ve'esrim u'mea medina vayamim hahem v'shevet hamelech Achashverosh al kisei malchuto asher Shushan habira b'shnat shlosh u'macho atsa mishtel l'chol sarah b'avadav il paras u'medai apartamin v'sarei hamedinot v'panav v'herato et osher kavod malchuto ve'et yachar tiferet geduato. All right. It came to pass in the days of Achashverosh, that same Achashverosh that ruled from India to Ethiopia, 127 provinces. When the king was sitting on his throne in the capital of Shushan in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a big party. All of his princes and all of his servants from all over the land came to see the wealth and the glory of his majesty. And this is a very interesting story, but we have a much more fun way of telling it to you tonight. So, without further ado, here's Achashverosh, he's the king of Persia. He's so wishy-washy, he one holy ruler. He ruled all of Persia and the Medes. Once he rid of Vashti, he can do what he please. Shushan, 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 Shushan. Here comes Queen Esther, her real name's Hadassah. She got great big secrets she ain't telling no one. She said, I'm a Jew, rescue me. One thing I can tell you is we got to be free. Come together right now for Purim. Here comes King Haman, he was evil meaning. He got half-real corners, he got real bad mojo. He said, get down upon your knees. I'm the big kahuna, won't you bow down to me? Come together right now for Purim. Here come old Morty, he got early warning. He said, oh my goodness, we must save the Hebrews. He said, quick message to the queen. Got to come together and destroy and see. Come together right now for Purim. Shushan. Thank you, Shea Stadium. It happened in the days of Achashverosh, who ruled from India to Ethiopia over 127 provinces and all across the universe. In the 3rd year of his reign in Shushan, the capital, Achashverosh gave a feast for his nobles and officers and all of the governors of his provinces. For 180 days he displayed the abundant riches of his empire and the glory and pomp of his greatness. Drinks were served in golden goblets and wine flowed in abundance. Queen Vashti also gave a feast for the women of the royal court. On the 7th day, when the king was quite filled with wine, he commanded his servants to bring Queen Vashti before him, wearing her royal robes and crown for all the people to see, for she was very beautiful. But Queen Vashti refused to appear at the king's command.
When I call you up to dance with me, that is a command made royally. If you disobey, there's not much more to say. You must leave today. If you won't heed me, you won't heed me. I don't know why you should want to hide, but your rude response has hurt my pride. You should entertain. Don't treat me as a cruel mistake. You just cause me pain when you won't heed me. You won't heed me. You won't heed me. Time after time, you refuse to even listen. I wouldn't mind if I knew what I was missing. Now you've made me mad. I'll bend my spleen, but a king can't live without a queen. There will be no show. You're not into burlesque, and so you will have to go. If you won't need me, you won't need me, you won't need me. Time after time, you refuse to even listen. I wouldn't mind if I knew what I was missing. Now you've made me mad. I'll bend my spleen, but a king can't live without a queen. There will be no show. You're not into burlesque, and so you will have to go. Since you won't heed me, you won't heed me, you won't heed me, you won't heed me, you won't heed me.
At this, the king was enraged, and his anger burned within him. He asked his advisors, according to the laws of the Persians and the Medes, what is to be done to a queen who refuses to obey the command of the king? His advisors replied, let a royal order go forth from the king that Queen Vashti is to appear before him no more, and let the king give her royal position to another who is better than she. The advice pleased the king, and he did as his advisors proposed. After these events, when the anger of the king had abated, he ordered his servants, saying, let beautiful young maidens be sought out for the king from all over the land, and let Haggai care for them, and give them cosmetics and oils, and let the maiden who pleases the king be appointed queen instead of Vashti. Now there was a Jew in Shushan, the capital, whose name was Mordechai. This Mordechai had brought up Esther, the daughter of his uncle, for she had neither father nor mother, and he had adopted her. Esther also was taken into the palace and put in custody of Haggai. When the turn came for Esther to go into the king, she was taken before his throne, and King Ahasuerus loved Esther more than all the maidens, so that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. But she did not tell the king that she was Jewish, because everybody's got something to hide, except for me and my monkey.
Well, she was just 17, and you know what I mean. And the way she looked was way beyond compare. So how could I choose any other when I saw her standing there? Well, she got my eye with makeup by the guy, and before too long I fell in love with her. I couldn't dare choose another when I saw her standing there. Well, she seemed so shy, but her uncle Mordechai told her all would be all right. So we moved to Sinai, and she put her new crown on, and before too long I fell in love with her. Now there'll never be any other since I saw her standing there. Well, she seemed so shy, told her uncle Mordechai, told her all would be all right. She grew to shine, and she put her new crown on, and before too long I fell in love with her. Now there'll never be any other when I saw her standing there. Since I saw her standing there. Since I saw her standing there.
One day, Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate. There he overheard two servants plotting to assassinate King Ahasuerus. Mordecai, hip hip hooray! Sent word to Esther, who told the king, and when the affair was investigated, the two men were hanged on the royal gallows, and the incident was written into the royal archives. After these events, King Ahasuerus promoted Haman and elevated him in rank and made him chief above all other princes of the court. And all people at the king's gate were kneeling and bowing before him, for such was the king's command. Only Mordecai would neither kneel nor bow. When Haman saw that Mordecai refused to bow down, he was filled with fury. But he didn't want to punish Mordecai only. Instead, he sought to destroy all the Jews, the people of Mordecai, throughout the entire kingdom of Ahasuerus.
I walk the streets, I make a scene, and folks know how to make me happy. And through the town, they all bow down, fall on their knees, and make me happy. Ooh, and he suddenly sees me, ooh, and he knows how to feed me every single day of my life. doesn't hide, he simply seems to want to taunt me. And though I go on with my life, read again, his sickness haunts me. Ooh, why is he constantly near me? Ooh, why does he never fear me? Why can't Mordechai just go away? Got to get him out of my life. What can I do? What can I be if that you never will respect me? I turn aside to let it slide, yet even so it still affects me. Ooh, and he suddenly sees me. Ooh, and he knows how to beat me every single day of my life. Got to get him out of my life. Got to get him out of my life.
Come on, you know from rock band.
Make a scene and post on down, I can happy. And through the town, they all bow down, throw on their knees and make it snappy. Ooh, then he suddenly sees me. Ooh, and he knows how to feed me every single day of my life.
So much for dramatic ending. All right. To fulfill his plan to eradicate the Jews, Haman, there is a certain people dispersed in all the provinces of your kingdom, whose laws are different from those of every other people, and you do not keep the king's laws. So it is not to the king's advantage to tolerate them. If it please your majesty, let it be decreed that they be destroyed, and I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the king's treasury. King Ahasuerus agrees to the proposal. Then scribes were summoned, and an edict was written to all the provinces, commanding that on the 13th day of the month of Adar, the governors were to destroy, slay, and annihilate all Jews, young and old, women and children, in one day, to plunder their property. When Mordechai, hooray, learned all that had been decreed, he tore his clothing, put on sackcloth and ashes, and went about the city of Shushan, mourning and wailing with a loud and bitter cry. When Esther heard that Mordechai was in mourning, she became deeply distressed. Esther sent a messenger to Mordecai to find out just what had happened. Mordecai implored that Esther must go to the king and plead to him for her. Esther replied, "All the king's servants and the people of his provinces, nor that for any man or woman who comes into the king's inner court without an invitation, there is only one law, death, unless the king extends to him his golden scepter. Only then may he live. As for me, I have not been called before the king these last 30 days. Then Mordecai said the following words to Esther. Do not think that living in the king's palace that you alone of all the Jews will be saved. If you remain silent at this time, be sure that help will arise from another quarter. But you and your father's house shall be destroyed. And who knows whether it was not for a time like this that you have attained such a high position." Then Esther answered back, "Go, gather all the Jews in Shushan and fast for me, and I and my maidens will fast as usual. Then I shall go to the king, even though it is against the law. And if I perish, I perish." Mordecai then went away and did everything as Esther had ordered him.
Help, we need somebody, help, not just anybody, help, you know we need someone, help. you lived in Israel. We all had faith that God would help us to prevail. But we're in Persia now, our safety's not assured. We need a plan to countermand the cruel plot that we heard. Help us if you can, our hope is gone. And we need someone to stop evil Haman. Help to save the Jews here in Shushan. Won't you please help us? 'Cause now our life has changed in oh so many ways. Our people's threatened to be wiped out in your days. We need a queen like you to stop this nasty thing. Esther dear, confront the cheer, and go and see the king. Help us if you can, our hope is gone. And we need someone to stop evil Haman. Help us save the Jews here in Shushan. Won't you please help us? When times were easier, we lived in Israel. We all had faith that God would help us to prevail. But we're in Persia now, our safety's not assured. We need a plan to countermand the cruel plot that we heard. Help us if you can, our hope is gone. And we need someone to stop evil Haman. Help us save the Jews here in Shushan. Won't you please help us? Help us, help us. Ooh.
After Esther had prayed and fasted on the third day, she put on her royal robes and entered the inner court of the palace. When King Ahasuerus lifted his eyes and saw Esther standing before him, she found favor in his sight. And he held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand. Esther approached and touched the top of the scepter. Then the king said to her, "What is troubling you, Queen Esther? What is your request? Be it half the kingdom, it shall be given unto you." And Esther said, if I have found favor in your sight, then let the king and Haman come to a feast which I prepared for him this day. Then said the king, "Bring Haman quickly, that we may do as Esther desires." During the drinking of wine, the king again asked Esther what she wished. "If I have indeed found favor before the king, then let him and Haman come again to a banquet which I shall give for you both again tomorrow night." Haman left that night in high spirit, but as he approached the king's gate, he saw Mordechai. Hooray! And when Mordecai would neither rise nor bow before him, Haman was filled with rage. When he arrived at his home, he called his wife Hirsch before him and told her of all that had happened. "But all this is worth nothing to me, Haman. Every time I see Mordecai, I am beside myself with anger." Then Zeresh advised, "Have a gallows built 50 cubits high and hang Mordecai upon it. Then you will be rid of him." That night the king could not sleep. He called for his servant to read to him from the royal archives. The servant read and how Mordecai had overheard a plot against the king's life and had saved him. And what has been done to reward this Mordecai? Asked the king. "Nothing, your majesty." The next day when Haman and arrived at the palace, King Ahasuerus asked him, "Tell me, my prime minister, what should be done to the man whom the king wishes to honor?" Thinking that the king meant him, Haman answered, "Dress him in your royal robes, put him on a beautiful white horse, and have him led through the streets of Shushan by a man shouting, 'Thus shall be done to the man whom the king wished to honor.'" Then the king said to Haman, "Quick, take the robe and the horse, just as you have said, and do all that to Mordecai. Omit nothing from all that you have said."
I think I'm gonna be sad. I think it's today, yeah. The guy that's driving me mad is getting his way, yeah. He's got a horsey to ride. He's got a horsey to ride. He's got a horsey to ride, and it's not fair. He just won't show me respect when I march through town, yeah. He will not genuflect when I come around. He's got a horsey to ride. He's got a horsey to ride. He's got a horsey to ride, and it's not fair. And that he's riding so high. Gotta think twice, got to ride by me. Before the king rewarded this guy. Gotta thought twice, should have done right by me. I think God, I'm gonna be sad. I think it's today, yeah. The guy that's driving me mad is getting his way, yeah. He's got a horsey to ride. He's got a horsey to ride. He's got a horsey to ride, and it's not fair. I can't stand that he's riding so high. Gotta think twice, gotta do right by me. Before the king rewarded this guy. Should've thought twice, should've done right by me. He just wanna show me respect when I'm up to town, yeah. He will not genuflect when I come around. He's got a horsey to ride. He's got a horsey to ride. He's got a horsey to ride, and it's not fair. Oh, Morty don't care. Yeah, Morty don't care. Oh, Morty don't care.
Still upset by the events of that day, Haman accompanied Ahasuerus to the chambers of Queen Esther that evening. After the feast, as they were drinking wine, the king again said to Esther, "What is your petition, even to half my kingdom, and it shall be fulfilled?" Then the queen answered, "If I found favor in your sight, don't let me down, and let my life be spared with that of my people, for we are to be slain and annihilated." Then King Ahasuerus said to Queen Esther, "Who is he and where is he that would do such a terrible thing?" And Esther said, "A foe and an enemy, this wicked Haman." Then Haman was in terror before the king and queen. And the king in anger rose from the banquet and went into the garden. But Haman stayed behind to beg mercy from the queen. Pleading for his wife, he fell upon the couch upon which Esther was reclining just as the king returned from the garden. The king cried out, "Does he mean to attack the queen even while I am present?" As the words left the mouth of the king, they covered the face of Haman and led him to the very gallows which he had so carefully prepared for Mordechai. Then King Ahasuerus, to revoke the evil words of Haman against the Jews and appointed Mordechai as his new prime minister. And on the 13th day of Adar, when the Jews were to have been destroyed, instead all the enemies of our people were defeated, including the 10 sons of Haman. Then Mordechai sent letters to all the Jews in the provinces of King Ahasuerus, commanding them to celebrate the 14th day of Adar as a day of feasting and gladness, a day for sending portions to one another, a day for giving gifts to the poor. And Mordechai, the Jew, ruled long over Persia.
King was the ruler of the populace. Vashti wouldn't come at his command. King said to Esther, "Girl, I like your face," and that she came to be the queen of all the land. Oh, Vashti, oh, Vada, in Shushan, Ra, la, 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 in Shushan. Oh, Vashti, oh, Vada, in Shushan, Ra, la, 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 in Shushan. Haman was there to get back 100% Amalekite. But his plot was foiled by great Mordechai, so the Jews of Persia slept in peace at night. Oh, Vadi, oh, Vada, in Shushan, Ra, la, 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 in Shushan. Oh, Vadi, oh, Vada, in Shushan, Ra, la, 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 in Shushan. And because of the Jew, Mordechai would not bow down. The Sackers stayed and the Jews would say, "Let's party in Shushan town." Ahasuerus led the Jews back in defense. Now Haman's off to take a little swing. That dear people brings us to the story's end. So now please join us in the chorus as we sing together. Oh, Vadi, oh, Vada, in Shushan, Ra, la, 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 in Shushan. Oh, Vadi, oh, Vada, in Shushan, Ra, la, 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 in Shushan. And because of the Jew, Mordechai would not bow down. The seculars faith and the Jews were saved. Let's party in Shushan town. Ahasuerus led the Jews back in defense. Haman's up and take a little swing. That dear people brings us to the story's end. So now please join us in the chorus as we sing. Oh, Vadi, oh, Vada, in Shushan, Ra, la, 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 in Shushan. Oh, Vadi, oh, Vada, in Shushan, Ra, la, 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 in Shushan. If you want some fun, take oh, Vadi, Vada. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We need to ask our Purim Carnival volunteers to go ahead and head down, but nobody else should move because we're not done with the fun yet. We, in addition to our lovely get-ups, we see some other people out in the congregation who are also fabulously attired. So we would like to invite up, first of all of the young people who are dressed up and we're going to have a fun Purim parade. So come on up if you are in costume. We have a Hamantaschen. Line up in front of the steps. We have a Hamantaschen. We have princesses. We have superheroes. We have Lightning McQueen. We have, guys, no, stay down on the floor, guys. We have baseball players. We have Super Mario. All kinds of wonderful costumes. So follow me while we sing some Purim songs.
Good, buddy. Parade. Oh, it's okay.
When I call you up to dance for me, that is a command made royally. If you disobey, there's not much more to say. You must leave today. If you won't need me, you won't need me, you won't need me. I don't know why you should want to hide, but your rude response has hurt my pride. You should have the name. Don't treat me with such cruel disdain. You cause me pain when you won't need me, you won't need me, you won't need me. Time after time, you refuse to even listen. I wouldn't mind if I knew what I was missing. Now you made me mad. I'll bend my sleeve, but I can't live without a queen. There will be no show. We're not into burlesque, and so you will have to go. You won't need me, you won't need me, you won't need me. Time after time, you refuse to listen. I wouldn't mind if I knew what I was missing. Now you made me mad. I'll bend my sleeve, but I can't live without a queen. There will be no show. You're not into burlesque, so you will have to go. If you won't need me, you won't need me, you won't need me, you won't need me, you won't need me.
All right, we are almost ready for the world's biggest carnival. In just a moment, of course, you need to add to our video a couple of Purim
Purim, Gadol Ulayim, Masechot Rashani, Smirot Rekutim, Havana Risha, Rash, Havana Risha, Rash, Alvarita, Para Asan, Kakuri, Kakado, Hulai, Masekon, Rachani, Alvarita, 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 Para Asan. Purim day, what a joyous holiday. Your now is all around. Let's rock, Alvarita, Alvarita, Bobby Purim day. Keep it one more time, a little faster. Kakuri, Kagado, here you guys. Maseko, Rashani, Zero, Miduni. Havanarita, Bara, once there was a wicked man, and Haman was his name, sir. He wanted to hurt all the Jews, but they were not to blame. Everybody, oh, today will Mary be. Oh, today will Mary be. Oh, today will Mary be, and not some Hamantashen. And Esther was a lovely queen of King Ahasuerus. When Haman said he hurt us all, oh my, how he did scare everybody. Oh, today will Mary be. Oh, today will Mary be. Oh, today will Mary be, and not some Hamantashen. But Mordechai, her cousin both, said, what a dreadful Lucifer. If he were standing next to me, I would give him the boot, sir. Oh, today will Mary be. Oh, today will Mary be. Oh, today will Mary be, and not some Hamantashen. When Esther speaking to the king of Haman's plot made mention, said he, although he won't, I'll spoil his bad intent. Everybody, oh, today will Mary be. Oh, today will Mary be. Oh, today will Mary be, not some Hamantashen. The guest of honor, he shall be the clever Mr. Smarty, and high above us he shall swing, and a little hanging far. Everybody, oh, today will Mary be. Oh, today will Mary be. Oh, today will Mary be, and not some Hamantashen. Last verse of all his cruel and unkind ways, his little joke did cure him, but don't forget we owe him thanks for all he did for it.